If you love me, please don't judge me. Got my hands tied, the power's above me. Don't shoot the messenger, I'm just a puppet here. If you wanna place blame, then look to the puppeteer. Family, fortune, envy, jealousy, privilege, passed on, legacy, secret, sabotage, borderline, felony, suicide, subtract, selfish, pedigree, yeah.
How's it going, everybody? It's C-RadTV back here in our video. So, of course, it's time to continue on to What If NASCAR Had the F1 Points Format series. So, the last time in this series, we took a look at the ARCA East series in the 2000s, and we learned that next to nothing would have changed if they used the F1 Points format. And in this part, we're gonna wrap up the ARCA East side of this What If series by taking a look at the ARCA East series in the 2010s. So, of course, the ARCA Series 2010s, it was when it was known as the K&M Pro Series, East Series. So, yeah, but for this series, of course, we're going to call it by what it's called currently, which is the ARCA East Series. So, we're going to look at this. We're going to look at ARCA East in the 2010s to see what would have changed and what would have stayed the same if they used the F1 points format. So, yeah, and of course, like I've already mentioned before, make sure you also check out the NASCAR with F1 Points Central Twitter and Instagram pages for exclusive NASCAR with F1 Points content, where I always post stuff on those pages every day, something new every day, at least one post a day, maybe 2 or 3, depending on what there is. And I also post the 2021 points for a Cup, Xfinity, Trucks, ARCA East, and I will be doing it for the other series when I catch up to it. But yeah, anyway, with that out of the way, here are the points format we're going to be using for this part. So it's going to be the current F1 points format, which is the top 10 finishers. This does not include the fastest lap, since NASCAR does a terrible job of keeping track of the fastest lap. And we're not doing double points for 2014, because double points is a stupid, dumb gimmick that manufactures drama, and I want no gimmicks in this. But yeah, and before we continue on, let me once again stress out that this is just a hypothetical scenario. I know everyone would have raced differently if they used the F1 points format. This is just for fun. So now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and let's jump right into it. So the 2010 season, it was mainly a 3-man battle for the championship between Ryan Truex, Brett Moffitt, and Bubba Wallace. Those 3 were the class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency. In the end, though, late in the season, Brett Moffitt would fail to be consistent in key moments of the season when it mattered the most, and Moffitt would be eliminated with a race to go in the season. So in the end, the championship would go all the way down to the season finale at Dover, with Ryan Truex entering with a 22-point lead over Bubba Wallace. So it was up to where Bubba Wallace would need to win the race and would need Ryan Truex to effectively finish 10th, or him to finish 9th or worse to win the title. So for Truex to win the title, Truex just needed to finish 8th or better to win the championship. In the season finale at Dover, Bubba Wallace would be involved in an early race crash in 34 laps in, and Bubba would end up retiring from the race in 25th with a crash, which meant that regardless of what happened the rest of the race, Ryan Truex would win the title by default. But in the end, Ryan Truex, he would end up finishing 3rd, and then Brett Moffitt, who would win the race, would end up leapfrogging Bubba Wallace in the standings to finish 2nd. But in the end, Ryan Truex would still win the 2010 championship by 29 points over Brett Moffitt and 37 points over Bubba Wallace. So Ryan Truex would still go back-to-back in 2010. So the 2011 season, it was all about 3 drivers, as it was mainly a 3-man battle for the championship between Max Gresham, Bubba Wallace, and Brett Moffitt. Those 3 were the class of the field all season in terms of speed and consistency. In the end, though, Bubba Wallace would fail to be consistent in key moments of the season when it mattered the most, and he would be eliminated with around a race or 2 to go in the season. So in the end, the championship would go all the way down to the season finale at Dover, with Brett Moffitt entering with an 18-point lead over Max Gresham, So Max Gresham effectively needed to win the race and would need Moffitt to finish around 7th or worse to win the title. For Moffitt to win the title, Moffitt just needed to finish at least 6th or better, or hope that Gresham finishes 3rd or worse to win the championship. In the season finale at Dover, both drivers ran up front for a good chunk of the race. In the end, though, Brett Moffitt, he would wreck out late in the race and would finish 21st with a few laps to go. So a setup on the green-white checker attempt that if Max Gresham could win the race, he would win the championship. In the end, though, Max Gresham would fall short while Bubba Wallace would go on to win the race, so Bubba's win would make the championship battle look closer than it actually was. While Max Gresham, he would end up finishing 3rd in the season finale, and that would be enough for Brett Moffitt to edge out Max Gresham for the 2011 championship by only 3 points. So Brett Moffitt would be the 2011 ARCA East champion under this format. So the 2012 championship, it was mainly a two-man battle for the title between Kyle Larson and Corey LaJoie. Those two were the class of the field all season in terms of speed and consistency. In the end, though, Kyle Larson would fail to be consistent in key moments of the season when it mattered the most. And then Corey LaJoie would take advantage of it and get hot at the right time late in the season. And Corey LaJoie would lock up the 2012 ARCA East Championship with a race to go in the season. So Corey LaJoie would be the 2012 ARCA East champion. So the 2013 season, it was all about Dylan Kwasniewski, who was coming off winning the ARCA West Championship the year prior. He'd come to ARCA East, and he would dominate ARCA East with a would pretty much have a repeat of his 2012 season, but dominate the rest of the competition. But bottom line, Kwasniewski was the class of the field all year, and no one was on his level. And Dylan Kwasniewski, he would easily cruise to the 2013 ARCA East Championship before he goes on to Xfinity to become one of the biggest busts in NASCAR's recent memory. So the 2014 season, it was all about Ben Rhodes. Ben Rhodes was the class of the field all season in terms of speed and consistency. Like nobody was on Ben Rhodes' level in 2014. And Ben Rhodes, he would go on and easily cruise to the 2014 ARCA East Championship. So for the 2015 season, we would have 4 drivers separate themselves from the rest of the field, and those 4 being William Byron, Scott Heckert, Austin Hill, and Dalton Sargent. Those 4 were the class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency. In the end, though, late in the season, Austin Hill and Dalton Sargent would fail to be consistent in key moments of the season when it mattered the most. Both of them will be eliminated with a race to go in the season. So in the end, the championship battle will go all the way down to the season finale at Dover, with Scott Heckert entering with a 4-point lead over William Byron. So for Byron, he would need to finish a couple spots ahead of Heckert to win the title. Heckert just need to either finish ahead of Byron or stay close to Byron, as long as Byron doesn't finish too far ahead to win the title. In the season finale at Dover, both Byron and Heckert finished pretty well ran near the bottom of the top 10. In the end, though, Heckert would end up finishing 10th in the season finale. So with Heckert finishing 10th, it meant that Byron could lock up the title with a finish of 7th or better. But in the end, Byron would fall short of goal, and Byron would end up finishing 9th in the season finale at Dover. And that would mean that Scott Heckert would end up edging out William Byron for the 2015 ARCA East Championship by only 3 points. So Scott Heckert would be the 2015 ARCA East champion under this format. So in the 2016 season, it was mainly a two-man battle for the championship between Justin Haley and Kyle Benjamin. Those two were the class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency. In the end, though, late in the season, Kyle Benjamin would fail to be consistent in key moments of the season when it mattered the most, and Justin Haley would take full advantage of it, and Justin Haley would lock up the 2016 ARCA East Championship with around a race to go in the season. So Justin Haley would still win the 2016 ARCA East Championship under this format. So the 2017 season, it was a two-man battle for the championship between Harrison Burton and Todd Gilliland. Those two were the class of the field all season in terms of speed and consistency. It was a very close championship between the two that in the end, the title fight would go all the way down to the season finale at Dover, with Todd Gilliland entering with a 10-point lead over Harrison Burton. So Harrison would effectively need to finish 4th or better to have a shot at the championship. Todd Gilliland just either needed to stay close to Harrison or finish ahead of him to have a shot at the championship. In the season finale at Dover, both drivers ran up front for a good chunk of the race, but midway through the race, Todd Gilliland would end up being in a crash, and Todd Gilliland would end up retiring for the race, finishing in 13th. So in the end, with Todd Gilliland out, it was set up to where if Harrison Burton could finish 4th or better, Harrison would end up winning the championship. And in the end, Harrison Burton would do everything he would need to lock up the title, as Harrison Burton would go on to win the season finale at Dover, and that win would be more than enough for Harrison Burton to win the championship by 15 points over Todd Gilliland, and denying Todd Gilliland of winning both the ARCA East and the ARCA West championships all in the same season. So no sweep for Gilliland, and Harrison Burton would still win the 2017 ARCA East Championship, denying Gilliland of the sweep. So the 2018 season, it was all about Tyler Ankrum. Tyler was just a class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency. Like, no one was on Ankrum's level in 2018. And Tyler Ankrum, he would easily go on and cruise to the 2018 ARCA East Championship. So the 2019 season, it was mainly a two-man battle for the championship between Sam Mayer and Chase Caber. Those two were the class of the field all year in terms of speed and consistency. But in the end, though, late in the season, Chase Caber would fail to be consistent in key moments of the season when it mattered the most. Sam Mayer would take full advantage of it and would pull away late in the season. And Sam Mayer would lock up the championship with a race to go in the season. So Sam Mayer would still win the 2019 ARCA East Championship under this format. But the only thing remembered from this title battle would be Sam Mayer intentionally dumping Chase Caber on Lab 1 at Bristol. But yeah, anyway, that'll wrap it up here for this part of the What If series, and this wraps up the ARCA East side of this What If series. So yeah, there were quite a few interesting things that would have happened under this F1 points format in the ARCA East series. Like, in terms of championship battles that would go down to the season finale, there would be four championship battles that go down to the finale, and all 4 would be decided at Dover, which is pretty interesting. And under this F1 points format, we would have 3 title changes in the 2010s for ARCA East, and those being in 2011, 2012, and 2015. So yeah, quite a few things would change under this part, but a few things stayed the same for sure. But yeah, anyway, that'll wrap it up for this part. We are going to be going through back to the ARCA East series for 2020 in the second last part of the series, which is the Twitch. We're going to, for the 2020 season, like I mentioned before, we're going to be looking at ARCA West, ARCA East, ARCA Pin to Penny series, the Wheel and Modifieds, the Mexico series, and the Wheel and Euro series. We're not going to be doing Wheel and Euro 2 division because I just don't want to do that. I only just want to do the Wheel and Euro the main division, and that's it. So yeah, that will be the last division, and the We Only Need Heroes will be the last division we look at before we go to the 2020 season part 2. And then the 2021 season. But yeah, anyway, that'll wrap it up for this part. That's all I gotta say for this. So next time in this series, we're gonna start taking a look at the ARCA series. So we've gone through ARCA East and ARCA West. Now it's time to take a look at the main ARCA series, the ARCA Menard series. So we're gonna start that part out next time. So yeah, anyway, that part comes out depending on how fast I make it and do my research. But yeah, anyway, that's all I gotta say. Hope everyone has a great day, and I'll see you on whatever I make next. Peace.